This is for informational purposes only and not financial advice.
Yeah.
For a full understanding, read all SEC filings.
Mm.
You sent us this latest 8K filing from Spruce Biosciences.
Oh, yeah.
So clearly you're interested in seeing what they're up to.
Yeah, definitely.
This biotech company has been working on a new treatment for a condition called Congenital Adrenal Hyperplasia, or a CAH.
Okay.
And this filing has some news about their progress.
Interesting.
Good and bad.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Like,
Well, it's kind of like a pharmaceutical detective story, really.
Okay.
We've got clues sprinkled throughout this 8K, and we need to piece them together to see what Spruce is likely to do next.
I'm ready to play detective. But first, for anyone who needs a refresher, can you explain CAH?
Sure. CAH is a genetic disorder.
Okay.
That affects the adrenal glands. And these glands produce hormones.
Right.
That are really important
Yeah.
for a bunch of bodily functions.
Yeah.
With CAH, these glands don't work quite right, which can cause various health problems.
Got it. So that's where Spruce Biosciences comes in.
Exactly.
Wow.
They were hoping their drug, Tildacerfont, would be a new treatment option.
Right.
We've got info here on 2 clinical trials, CAHmelia-204 and CAHptain-205.
Okay.
These trials were testing how well Tildacerfont worked
Yeah.
and if it was safe. And remember, clinical trials are like levels in a video game.
Oh, okay. I like that.
Phase 1 is level 1, testing basic safety
Right.
on a small group of people.
Gotcha.
Phase 2 is where you level up, fine-tune things, and see if the game is fun. I mean, if the drug really works.
Good analogy.
Yeah.
So where do Spruce's trials fit into all this?
Well, their CAHmelia-204 trial was a Phase 2b trial, so it was getting close to that critical stage where they need to prove the drug's effectiveness to move on to the final phase.
To level up, basically.
Exactly. So did Tildacerfont beat level 2?
Well, unfortunately not.
Oh, no.
The trial didn't hit its primary endpoint.
Oh, so what happened?
They were hoping to see a significant reduction in the amount of other medications CAH patients need to take daily.
Right, that makes sense.
Which can have a lot of side effects.
Yeah, of course.
While Tildacerfont did show some reduction, it wasn't enough to be considered a successful result.
That's a bummer. But at least it sounds like the drug itself wasn't causing any harm.
Right, that's the silver lining here. The 8K states that Tildacerfont was generally safe.
Good.
And well tolerated in this trial, with no serious adverse events reported.
Well, that's good to hear. So that's one trial down. What about CAHptain-205?
Now, this trial was a bit shorter, and everyone knew they were getting the drug.
Okay.
It was designed more to figure out the right dosage and how the drug works in the body.
Makes sense.
They tested Tildacerfont on both adults and children.
Oh, good.
Which is important because CAH affects people of all ages.
Got it. So more about fine-tuning.
Yeah.
Than proving it works, for sure.
Exactly. And they did see a trend. Higher doses seemed to work better at lowering certain hormone levels associated with CAH.
Interesting.
Plus, again, no serious side effects were reported.
Okay, so we've got this, like, weird mix. One trial where the drug didn't work well enough, even though it was safe.
Right.
And another shorter trial showing some promise with dosage but needing more investigation. What does that mean for Spruce Biosciences?
Well, that's where the plot thickens. The 8K states they're actually discontinuing both trials.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
They're just abandoning it.
And winding down their investment in Tildacerfont for CAH treatment completely.
Wow. That's a bold move. Why would they do that?
It's a great question. And that's what we need to unpack next. This is where our detective work really starts.
Okay, I'm ready.
Remember, these trials are expensive.
Right.
And Spruce is a company, so they've got to consider the bottom line.
Of course, yeah.
Plus, maybe they're seeing other promising research avenues that they think will be more successful.
This is reminding me of those true crime documentaries where they're like, what happened next would shock everyone. What clues do we have about Spruce's next move?
Well, the 8K does mention that Spruce is looking at other strategic options to address diseases with unmet needs.
Okay.
That's pretty vague, but it gives us some potential leads to investigate.
So, like, maybe they've got another even more promising drug candidate waiting in the wings, Something completely different for CAH, or maybe even a treatment for a different disease altogether.
It's possible.
Okay.
They could also be thinking about acquiring another company with interesting technology.
Oh.
Think about it. Instead of starting from scratch, they could buy a company that's already further along in developing a new treatment.
Ooh, a pharmaceutical heist.
Right.
I like it.
Yeah?
But wouldn't it be risky to completely abandon Tildacerfont? Especially if that CAHmelia-205 trial was showing some positive signs.
Yeah.
You'd think they'd at least try to adjust the dosage and see if they could get better results.
That's where things get really fascinating.
Okay.
You're right. Usually, a company wouldn't just walk away from a drug that's shown some promise and has a good safety profile.
Right.
Especially with a condition like CAH, where there's a real need for new treatments.
Yeah.
This suggests there's something else going on behind the scenes.
Okay, I'm hooked.
Yeah.
What else could it be?
Well, one possibility is that they've crunched the numbers and realized that even with a successful Phase 3 trial, the market for Tildacerfont might not be big enough to justify the cost of development.
Okay.
Drug development is incredibly expensive.
Oh, for sure.
And companies have to make tough choices about where to invest their resources.
So like they're playing a game of pharmaceutical chess.
Exactly.
Trying to anticipate all the possible moves, outcomes.
They're looking at the bigger picture, considering the scientific data, the market conditions, the competitive landscape, and of course, their own financial situation.
Right.
It's a complex equation, and sometimes the best move is to cut your losses and move on to a more promising strategy.
That makes sense. But I gotta say, I feel for the people who were hoping Tildacerfont would be the answer to their prayers.
Yeah.
You know, the ones who participated in those clinical trials hoping for a new treatment option.
Absolutely. It's a reminder that behind all these business decisions, there are real people whose lives are affected.
Yeah, definitely.
Living with CAH can be really challenging, and for some folks, the hope of a new treatment can be a powerful motivator.
It's definitely a reality check for those of us who aren't directly involved in the world of drug development.
Yeah.
It's easy to forget that these decisions have real-world consequences.
And that's one of the reasons we do this show.
Right.
We want to help people understand how these decisions are made and what the implications are.
Right. Knowledge is power, as they say. So let's get back to our detective work.
Okay.
We've got this intriguing 8K filing.
Yeah.
But it's just one piece of the puzzle. What other sources of information could we look at to try to figure out Spruce's next move?
Well, one thing we could do is look at their past SEC filings, like their 10Ks, which are their annual reports.
Gotcha.
These reports give a more detailed overview of the company's financials, their research and development activities, and their overall strategy.
Yeah.
We might find some clues there about what they've been focusing on and where they might be headed.
Good idea. It's like looking for fingerprints at a crime scene. Every document tells a story. What else could we look at?
We could also check out industry news sources and research reports to see what analysts are saying about Spruce and the CAH treatment landscape in general.
Okay.
They might have insights into potential acquisition targets, new research avenues, or even competitors that Spruce is keeping an eye on.
So we're basically expanding our investigation, casting a wider net to gather more intel.
Exactly.
And by piecing together all these different sources of information, we can start to form a more complete picture of what's going on.
Exactly.
This is getting exciting.
Yeah.
It's like we're putting together a giant pharmaceutical jigsaw puzzle.
I like it.
But before we get too carried away with our sleuthing, let's take a step back and consider what this all means for our listener.
Good point. It's important to remember that we're not just doing this for our own amusement.
Right.
We want to provide you with valuable insights that you can use to make informed decisions.
So if you're interested in Spruce Biosciences, either as an investor or someone who's personally affected by CAH, what are the key takeaways from this deep dive?
Well, first and foremost, it's important to understand that drug development is a complex and risky business.
Yeah, for sure.
Setbacks are common, and even promising treatments can fail.
So don't put all your eggs in one basket, so to speak.
Exactly.
Diversification is key, both in your investments and in your hopes for new treatments. What else should our listener keep in mind?
I think it's also important to stay informed.
Yeah.
Read the SEC filings, follow industry news, and talk to your doctor to stay up to date on the latest developments.
Yeah.
The more you know, the better equipped you'll be to make informed decisions about your health and your investments.
Great advice.
Thanks.
And that's what we're all about here at the Deep Dive.
Yeah.
We want to help you make sense of the complex world of business and science.
Definitely.
But we don't just want to tell you what's happening. We want to help you understand why it matters.
Right.
And in this case, it matters because there are real people out there who are waiting and hoping for new treatments for conditions like CAH.
And while the news about Tildacerfont might be disappointing,
Yeah.
it's important to remember that the search for better treatments continues.
There's always hope, right?
Exactly.
Scientists are constantly making new discoveries, and someday there might be a breakthrough that changes everything.
And we'll be here to report on it when it happens. But for now, let's focus on what we know. We've got this 8K filing, which gives us some clues about Spruce's past decisions and their potential future direction.
And we've got our detective hats on, ready to dig deeper and uncover more information.
So let's get back to our investigation. We were talking about looking at Spruce's past SEC filings to see if we can find any patterns or hints about their strategy,
Right.
like their 10Ks.
Right. It's time to dust off those old 10Ks and see what secrets they hold.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're looking back at Spruce's older filings, like their annual reports. For more clues about their overall strategy, what specifically are we looking for here?
We're playing detective, remember? Let's look for any hints about other research they've been doing, any areas they've highlighted as important, or even any acquisitions or partnerships that might give us a clue about where they're headed.
Got it. So basically, we're trying to see if there's anything in their past that foreshadows this sudden shift away from Tildacerfont.
Exactly. Sometimes these big decisions aren't as sudden as they seem. There might have been hints all along. We just need to know where to look. And while we're doing that, remember, this is just one company. What's happening with Spruce is part of a bigger story about CAH treatment.
Oh, good point. So while we're digging through Spruce's corporate history, what's the bigger picture for CAH treatment development?
Well, it's important for you to know this isn't the first setback in the search for new CAH treatments. This is a tough nut to crack, scientifically speaking. But that doesn't mean research has stopped. There are other companies out there working on different approaches, some focusing on gene therapies, others on different types of medications.
So even though this news about Tildacerfont might be disappointing, it's not the end of the road for people with CAH.
That's right. It's a reminder that science is a process, and it often takes many tries to find a solution that really works. And while we wait for those breakthroughs, it's important to focus on what we can control, like staying informed and advocating for more research funding.
That's a great point. We can all play a role in pushing for progress, even if it's just by spreading awareness and supporting the organizations that are working to find a cure.
Absolutely. And that's something we're passionate about here at the Deep Dive. We believe that knowledge is power, and we want to empower you with the information you need to make informed decisions about your health and your life.
Speaking of knowledge, did anything in this 8K filing surprise you? I mean, you're the expert here.
You know what really struck me was how decisive Spruce was in discontinuing both trials. They didn't just say they were going to reassess or adjust their strategy. They completely pulled the plug. That's a bold move. And it suggests they have a high degree of confidence in whatever their next step is going to be.
So stay tuned for the next chapter in the Spruce Biosciences saga. It sounds like they're about to make some big moves, and we'll be here to break it all down for you when they do.
And in the meantime, if you're interested in learning more about CAH or other genetic disorders, there are some fantastic resources available online. The National Institutes of Health has a wealth of information, and there are also patient advocacy groups that can provide support and guidance.
We'll make sure to link to those resources in the show notes. And of course, if you have any questions or thoughts about what we've discussed today, please leave a comment below. We love hearing from you.
And if you found this deep dive helpful, don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel for more insights into the world of business and science.
We're diving deep into a new topic every week, so hit that notification bell so you don't miss out. Thanks for joining us on this journey of pharmaceutical discovery, and we'll see you next time for another deep dive.